So we talked about therapy as a first transition step, but what comes next? Because it takes so damn long, let's talk about hair removal. The two main ways that you're gonna get permanent hair removal are laser and electrolysis. Let's briefly talk about each of those, and then I'll go into my experiences with all of this. How long will laser take you? Probably a minimum of 6 to 8 sessions for each part of your body that you're looking to target, and if you have denser hair, thicker hair, more hair, you're probably looking at more than 10 sessions for each area, with each session being about 6 to 8 weeks apart, probably like a minimum of 4 weeks apart, because you want time for the hair cycle to really go through. You could get laser every week, but you would be wasting your money and going through pain for no reason. Pain for your wallet and pain for your skin. You want to make sure you give it time for that hair to cycle over, for some of that hair to be pushed out that was treated, and for some of that hair that did not get zapped to come into the appropriate stage of the hair growth cycle to get properly zapped. And that's kind of why this timeline exists, and probably the hair growth is going to be different for different people, so it's the idea behind doing multiple sessions. You're probably going to get a lot of progress in those first like 3 or 4 sessions, but it takes a while to really get that. And electrolysis really comes into play when laser is not an effective option. Like laser, to my understanding, unless great new improvements have been made in the technology, works best for people with light skin and dark hair. So if you have really light hair, problems can get more complicated. So if you have like very red hair is kind of a questionable area, but if you have like gray hair, blonde hair, laser probably won't work for you. And electrolysis is time consuming. If you had a full beard and you only did electrolysis, it could take you multiple years, because electrolysis involves putting essentially like a needle into each individual hair follicle and zapping it, burning the follicle. And because it's much more targeted, it's more permanent and more guaranteed to remove all the hair than laser. Laser just does a sweeping laser blast to a larger area, which makes laser much quicker. To put into perspective, like doing my upper lip for laser person could do that in like a minute or less. And that really just depends on how fast they're willing to go and how much I can put up with the pain, because the upper lip is so fucking sensitive. But for the electrolysis probe, you'd have to go into each individual follicle, and I never did electrolysis in my upper lip because it was painful enough here. I could not imagine how excruciating that would be. More power to all the trans women out there who have done electrolysis all over their face, and I'm sorry for those of you that have to do that because of just the limitations of the technology. How long are the sessions of electrolysis? Usually 15, 30, 60 minutes, sometimes longer. It really depends on how much pain you can handle in one session, and also how your skin reacts to it. Because my skin didn't always react well. It can get very hot, very sore, very swollen, and it's just not a pretty time. That healing process after laser and electrolysis is not fun either. And before I really get into my experience, it's important to talk about the cost. I realize that hair removal is very expensive, and it often isn't covered by insurance. So I want to acknowledge that I'm very grateful to have had the financial privilege to be able to do this, to be able to access this. Because I know not all trans women can access this, and facial hair can cause so much dysphoria. Like, the face in general is such a huge part of how people make snap judgments about others in terms of things like, what is their gender? It can really impact how people perceive us, how we perceive ourselves, hence lots of potential for dysphoria there. Because facial structure and facial hair has such a huge impact on that, this is why I believe both of these things should be covered by insurance, but that is like a whole nother soapbox for another video. I mean, I would be curious to hear your thoughts on that below. If this is within your means, This is something you can start before you even come out. It's something you could start right away. And if you're like me, as I mentioned earlier, having facial hair did give me awful dysphoria. So I wanted to remove as much as I could, as early as I could, as much as I could before I came out full time. So I started that process in December 2014, and I came out in November 2015, but I was nowhere near done by that point. I was probably having hair removal done regularly until about December of 2017. So it's about 3 years, and that includes doing hair removal primarily on my face, some on my chest, and also preparing for SRS. I probably did more than I needed to, but I don't regret what I had done by any means. Again, mentioning cost. Like, I can't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but over the course of these years, I probably spent, I would say easily $3,000 to $5,000 on electrolysis, and that was just my chin and jawline. And that was after tons of laser. I did dozens, plural, of laser sessions on my face that I probably spent easily $5,000 to $10,000 on, including my chest. Like at one clinic I went to, I probably spent $2,000 for the first pass through of my face and chest, and then I did another series of sessions, probably like another $500 to $1,000. Then electrolysis, which was like probably another $3,000 there. And then the real expensive one was doing laser in my genital area to prepare for sex reassignment surgery, which that one I think was $200 to $300 per session, so I probably dropped another at least $3,000 there. So total, I would not be exaggerating if I said I probably spent at least $8,000 to $10,000 total just on laser and electrolysis. That does not include any of the other costs that come up in medical transitioning that I'm probably underestimating. Even though it's unlikely that it'll be covered by insurance, ask. See what the clinic can do for you to work with your insurance, and if insurance will not be taken, see what they can do to work with you to see if you can buy package deals or get discounts. There are even some clinics that give discounts specifically to trans people because they know or have at least some understanding of how much dysphoria this causes and how necessary this is for so many people. So they try to do what they can to make it more accessible. And obviously that would probably be much more likely to occur in a larger city, in a progressive place. Be sure to ask these things, because I think if you're willing to make the drive, which again is another thing about access and affordability, you could probably find providers that have a variety of different cost levels. Like, I can't tell you how much of a difference this makes for me now. I mean, I could tell you. I mean, it's a huge difference. Like, yes, I still shave regularly, like I talked about a month or a couple months ago in another video, but my hair is so sparse and light now. Like, I don't ever get that 5 o'clock shadow anymore, so I don't ever have to worry about any sort of facial hair popping up through my makeup. I hardly wear any makeup. Like, I could go multiple days without shaving if I wanted to, but I'll notice the stubble. I'll feel it when I put on my makeup. I'll notice it when I look closely at my face. I'll scrutinize it, but it won't be noticeable to other people unless they're like right here in my face, and then I'd just be like, oh, why are you doing that? 6 feet at least, please. And I realize that not everybody can access these first 2 transition steps I suggest, therapy and hair removal, but I truly believe that it was so necessary to start my transition with these steps. So let me know down in the comments below, what are your experiences with hair removal, and what are your thoughts about this being one of the earliest transition steps? And as always, thank you so much for watching. Tipsy and I love you all so very much. Hope you're staying safe, healthy, and as happy as you can during this time. And remember, if you have not done so already, please give this a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Bye for now.